So previous class we learned the usage of formula, the usage of normal formula in calculation of coefficient of correlation, and then what happens when we change the origin and scale of the data. So because if you have huge data, we will not be able to solve it directly because the numbers will become too much, or it is large in volumes, so we will not be able to do. So we found out a common factor where we can divide that and we can solve the problem easily. Now the next topic or the next concept is same calculation of correlation only in a little different method. Here we will be calculating R directly. Now until previous problem we were finding out deviations, if you remember. So we were finding out x minus x bar, y minus y bar, all that was calculated. Now in this method we are doing some experimentation here, taking direct the values that is given in the question, that is x and y directly. Now let us see how to solve the problems if you take x and y directly here. Okay, so Pearson's correlation coefficient can also be computed directly using the formula. So the formula will differ a little, that's all. So the formula is R is equal to N into, that is number of data, into summation of xy. Now this xy is not deviation, but it is the direct data from the question. The values of x given here and the values of y given here, minus summation of x into summation of y, whole divided by square root of n into summation of x square. So we are going to square this data directly, minus summation x whole square, again square root of n into summation y square minus summation x whole square. Okay, this formula looks a little like standard deviation formula, but the only difference in this is we are not going to calculate arithmetic mean, neither we will be calculating the deviations. Okay, direct whatever is given in the question, we are going to take this data only and solve. The above formula can be applied where values of both x and y series are quite small and where mean and standard deviation are not to be computed. Now if you see this question here, the numbers are all single and double digits and they are very small. Okay, the value is not very high. So in this scenario you can go on and apply this method. Now application of the methods depends on the question and your ability to think and apply the formulas, that's all. Now once we complete the whole chapter, or once I complete a good amount of chapter, then we will revise everything once in correlation, so you will be able to understand where which formula to be used. By seeing difference in the questions, you will be able to know by yourself where which formula to be used. Okay, we will do that one session of correlation also. Okay, so let's go to the first problem directly. We just have to apply this formula which is given to us here. So first question, calculate the coefficient of correlation between x and y series from the following data. Okay, so they have given us x and y values. Directly these values we will take it to the solution and put it into a table. So the table heading, computation of Karl Pearson's correlation coefficient. Then direct values of x and direct values of y are taken. So let's see the formula once. The formula is given here only. Let's see what are the important terms for us to be calculated. Okay, so the first term for us to be calculated is sigma x. Here if you see, sigma xy is the first thing given in the question. Then we have to calculate sigma x, then you have to calculate sigma y, then you are supposed to calculate sigma or summation x square and summation y square. So if we calculate these 5 values, which means we can apply everything into the formula. So always when you're studying or practicing for any stats and maths papers, first see the formula, analyze what are the important values to be calculated. Now if you concentrate on how to calculate those values, you will be able to remember the formula along with what is to be calculated in the table also. So that is a little easier method for you. Okay, so we will start calculating one after the other. Now we have the list of what all to be calculated. Now we have the data of x and y. Now if we add all the values of x, we will get the first important value, that is sigma x, the total of x, that is summation. So when we total, we get the summation value as 36. Okay, so we got the first value. Next, add up all the values of y and you get y, summation y. Okay, summation y is 18. So in first, just directly from the question, we got two major values, sigma x and sigma y. Now this data itself, now since there is no need to calculate any deviations, so no need to calculate any arithmetic mean or anything, let's blindly square this x values. Okay, so 1 into 1, squaring is multiplying the number by itself. Okay, so 1 into 1, 3 into 3, 5 into 5, 7 into 7, and so on. Now once you once you square them, you get x square. Now this total of x square is the next important number. This is actually square, they have forgot to put it up. Okay, just write that properly. So x square is equal to 286. Okay, I'll just choose an eraser here. Sigma x square is equal to 286. Next, we are going to square the y's given in the problem. So y square, we are going to square this complete column. So y square, and the total of y square is, again square has to come up. Okay, total of y square is 58. Okay, I got another value also, which is 58. Now the last one thing which is left out is xy. Again, xy here is directly the question values. So x into y, 1 into 2, 3 into 3, 5 into 4, these two columns we are multiplying. Until previous problem, you were not supposed to do like this. Okay, you are supposed to take deviations and then solve. But from this problem, you can do, or you can apply this method. Now when can you apply such methods? When you see x and y values being very, very small. Now here they are very less in value, and the data also, the number of data is also less, the value of each number is also less. So which means mean and other values is not required to be found out. Only in such cases you can go on and solve directly. Apart from such simple questions, anywhere else you have to use the previous formulas only. I hope you are not getting confused. Okay, so let's multiply these and get xy. Now once we get xy and we add everything, we get the final important value, 114. So we got all the major data here. Any doubt in the table calculation? Any part of table calculation you want me to explain? Okay, so let's go on and solve the formula. So R is equal to n into sigma x, summation of xy minus summation x into summation y, whole divided by square root of n into summation x square minus summation x whole square. Again be careful here, don't get confused. Then again square root of n into summation, this is y square. Okay, there's some typing mistake. This is y square minus sigma y, sigma y's whole square. Okay, there is some problem here also. Okay, this is y. Now let us understand. So R is equal to 6 into, we have 6 data, 1 2 3 4 5 6. Okay, we have 6 data. So 6, n is equal to 6. I'll just write it here. N is equal to 6. Okay, so n is equal to 6. We use 6 everywhere here. So 6 into sigma xy is 114 minus summation x is 36. You have all the data given here. I'll just change the color. Okay, you have all the data here. 36. Then y is 18. Next, whole divided by square root of n is 6. Sigma x square is 286 minus x is 36 again. So 36 whole square, again square root of 6, n is 6 into sigma y square is 58 and sigma y is 18. So 18 whole square. Now coming to the next step, they have simplified it. 6 into 114 is 684 minus 36 into 18 is 648. Whole divided by square root of 6 into 286 is 1716. 36 square is 1296. Again coming to the next square root, 6 into 58 is 348. 18 square is 324. Now going on further, from this last step, 684 minus 648 is 36. Okay, and square root of this calculation will give us 420 and square root of 348 minus 324 will give us 24. And then next step, 36 as it is, square root of 420 is 20.494, square root of 24 is 4.899. Next step, 36 as it is, multiply these two values, you get 100.399. Now once you divide 36 by 100.399, you get 0.3584 and that too it is positive in nature. Okay, so since it is positive in nature, it is positive correlation. Now let us put it on our as usual correlation bandwidth. Now this will be +1 and this is going to be -1 and the central value is 0. Okay, now the value 0.35 is given. So how do we decide is, first you have to write 0.25, next 0.75. Now check where the value is coming or where you can plot this value. Now 0.35, can we say it is between 0.25 and 0.75? Okay, because it's 35, so it will come somewhere here, for example. Okay, 0.35. Which means this correlation of coefficient, whichever we have got, it is saying us it has low moderate degree positive correlation. Okay, it's coming on to the less side only. It's not above 0.75 for us to say it is completely correlated, or there is high degree of correlation. Here it is very low moderate. Now from 0.25 to 75 it is moderate, but since it is very near to 0.25, this value 0.35 is near to 0.25, so they are saying it is low moderate degree of positive correlation between which data? Between x and y. This is very, very important. Don't simply write low moderate degree positive correlation. You have to write between which two data. Okay, so this is your first problem. Any doubts in this problem? Any part you want me to explain it again? Okay. Fine. Let's solve one more problem so that everybody gains much clarity on this. Now, the next problem. Now here, calculate the coefficient of correlation from the following data. Simple problem. Again, x is given in hundreds. Okay, 400, 500, 600, 700. 2 zeros are there everywhere. Next, y is given in tens. So 20, 50, 40. So 1 0 is common. Now when I have such big data, now here the values are big enough. But I can also I can apply this method also. How can I apply this method? Because in every data I can easily take out two zeros for the data of x. If you see, everywhere I can take out two zeros. And for the data of y, in all the numbers I can easily take out 1 0. If I just divide it by 10, that 1 0 will go away. If the problems are like this and it is easily convertible, then only you can apply this formula or this method. Suppose if the data was 415, 535, okay, 623, some random numbers which are given. In such case, you will not be able to find out the common factor to divide. Then you cannot apply this method. Only if you are able to apply the common factor and reduce the data into the small values like this. See, these values are very small. When compared to 400, 500 here, these values are very small. If you are able to convert the data like this, only then use this method. If not, go by the normal method of calculation. Okay, I hope that is clear to everybody. So let us continue. Again, we are going to divide x by 100 and y by 10. Now, so x by 100, if you divide, 400 by 100 is 4, 500 by 100 is 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, only two zeros you have to take out here. So you will get 10. Next, y by 10, which means 1 0 is out. So 2, 5, 4, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we have got x data and y data. So what are the 5 important things to calculate? Sigma x, sigma y, sigma x square, sigma y square, and sigma xy. So these are the 5 important things to calculate. So let's calculate sigma x and sigma y. That's very easy. Just add up all the values that is given. So that is sigma x, which is 49. Add up all the values of y, you get sigma y is equal to 29. So we found first two values. Now next, summation of x square. See, sigma and summation both are same. Okay, so summation of x square. X square is nothing but I'm going to square this complete column. So I get the values of x square. 4 square is 16, 5 square is 25, 6 square is 36, 7 square is 49. Like this, I square everything. So once I total all of them, I get the next important value, that is sigma x square. So this is also calculated. Next, coming to sigma or summation y square. Now square the y column. So 2 square 4, 5 square 25, 4 square 16, 3 square 9, 4 square 16, 5 square 25, 6 square 36. Once I square this complete column, I'll have to add them up. Then I get sigma or summation y square. So I got 4 important values for the formula. And the last important value is x into y. Now again, x into y, I am supposed to multiply this column of complete x with the column of y. Okay, so that is sigma xy. Now once I multiply both of them, 4 2s are 8, 5 5s are 25, 6 4s are 24, 7 3s are 21. Like this, once I multiply these, I get the values and I add it up. I get the final important value, summation xy or sigma xy. Now since I have all the values, let us just apply into the formula. Now going to the formula, r is equal to n into summation xy minus summation x into summation y whole divided by square root of n into summation x square minus summation x whole square, n into summation x square minus, summation y square. Okay, I am not sure why they have written the formulas wrong everywhere. Okay, this is directly from the textbook. Okay, sorry for that. I'll just correct and send it to you and I send it on to the group. Okay, n into summation y square minus summation y whole square. Now, what is n? How much data do we have? So starting from here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So the value of n is 7. Okay, we have 7 data for us. And summation xy is 215. Then summation x is 49. Summation y is 29. So n is 7. N is 7 for us. Then xy is 215, which we calculated, minus summation of x is 49, summation of y is 29, whole divided by square root of n is 7 as usual, because once we take the n, it will remain same for all of the values here, n values. So 7 into x square. Let's just confirm once again. X square is 371, y square is 131. So x square is 371 minus sigma x is 49. 49 whole square. Okay. Again here n is 7 into sigma y square. Y square is 131. Okay. If you see here, if you go back and see here, you have 131. So minus 29, that is y. Sigma y is 29 whole square. Now 7 into 215 is 1505. 49 into 29 is 1421. Whole divided by square root of 7 into 371 is 2597 minus 49 square is 2401. And coming to the other square root of 7 into 131 is 970 minus 29 square is 841. Next step, 1505 minus 1421. This when you subtract these two numbers, you get the value of 84, whole divided by square root of 196. How did I get 196? 2597 minus 2401. Then again, square root of 917 minus 841 is 76. Next step, 84 as it is. I find the square root of both the numbers. And the last step, I multiply these two numbers after finding square root. My R value, or that is the correlation of coefficient value, is 0.688. Now again, let's go by our normal analysis and interpretation. -1, +1, 0. So the first one is 0.25 and the next is 0.75. Now what is the value that we have got? We have got 0.688. Okay, so again 0.688 is between 0.25 and 0.75. But it is very nearby to 0.75. Okay, 688 somewhere with here you can take. So which means this bandwidth is moderate. Okay, moderate correlation comes in this bandwidth. So there is a moderate degree of positive correlation between variables. Now which are the variables? As per the question, the variables are x and y. So there is a moderate degree positive correlation between the variables x and y. Okay, so this was your next question. Any doubts in this question? Any part of it you want me to explain it again? Okay, so let's go to the next concept. So this was one concept. Okay, so the next concept is calculation of correlation of coefficient using assumed mean. So we are going to use assumed mean instead of calculating the arithmetic mean all the time. So this assumed mean, you have a little formula. The formula looks complicated, but it is not. It is easy to analyze and understand, and the way of solving or the method of solving remains same. Okay, just the notations, whatever is given, looks complicated because of the x, y square and all that added up. So let's understand the concept and then we will go for the problem. Now, when actual mean of any given variables is in fractions. So when do you use this method is when you calculate sigma x by n. That is when you calculate arithmetic mean and you get your answer in points. You get 15.5, 40.6. When you get arithmetic mean in fractions, in that case you will not be able to calculate the deviations. Okay, if you remember, we were calculating x minus x bar. We were calculating x minus x bar in the first set of problems. So when you get points here, it is difficult to calculate the deviations. Once you calculate deviations, you are supposed to square them. Again, if you have decimal points, the numbers will become tedious for you to do the calculations again. Sometimes because of decimal numbers, the correlation of coefficient, you might not get the proper number. So that is why if you get points in arithmetic mean, then in that case we will be using assumed mean to make the calculation easier. Okay, so that is when you use this method. Next, let us read further. The calculation of correlation coefficient using actual mean becomes tedious and involves calculations requiring more time. That is the main constraint. More time will be consumed. In such cases, correlation coefficient can be computed by the use of assumed mean of the given series. Then the coefficient of correlation is calculated using the following modified formula. So we will, the first formula is R is equal to n into dx into dy minus summation dx into summation dy whole divided by square root of n into summation dx square, that is, okay, dx as usual what we see here, you just have to square it, minus summation dx whole square into square root of n into summation dy square minus summation dy whole square. Now this formula, this first formula, isn't it very similar to look like the previous one here? Now what we used here in solving, it's very similar to look at, just the notations are different. Okay, so you have n into sigma dx dy minus sigma dx into sigma dy whole divided by square root of n into sigma dx square minus sigma dx whole square, again into square root of n sigma dy square minus sigma dy whole square. This is also rewritten. You can also write this formula in another way. That is what they have given here. Now instead of, see, they have just divided here, everywhere you have n, right, which is multiplied. Now for this n, they have divided n everywhere again. So for the second expression, for the every second expression that you see here, n is divided. Okay, which means this first n will go away here. This first n will go away here, and here for the same expression you have divided by n. Again below you have divided by n, again divided by n. That is the only difference between both the formulas. In the first formula, it's simple to look at, just we can follow this formula. The second formula may be used in very little circumstances where you have to divide n for the second expression everywhere. Okay, now since we have so many new notations, let us understand what all are the notations. So dx, we saw dx everywhere here. So what is dx? Deviations from the variable x from their assumed mean. Dx is nothing but x minus assumed mean, and a we already know it is assumed mean. Similarly dy, dy is the deviations of variable y from their assumed mean again. So dy is nothing but y minus assumed mean. So dx is x minus assumed mean, dy is y minus assumed mean. Next, summation dx dy, sum of product dx into dy. Now you would have already calculated dx and dy here. So when you multiply dx into dy and you add all those values, that is called summation dx dy. Next, dx square. So you have to sum of square of dx, which means you are supposed to calculate dx square, which is you all the values that you get here in dx, square them, then you get dx square. Okay. Next, dy square. Similarly, when you have to calculate dy first and then square them, how do you find dy? Y minus a. Okay, so then once you square them and add them up, you get sigma dy square. Okay. Next, sigma dx, sigma dy. Sigma dx is total of all these values, sigma dy is total of all these values. So this is your concept of using assumed mean. Okay, there are few steps involved. The steps involved are find deviations of x variables from the assumed mean and show these deviations as dx, and also find dx, sigma dx. Similarly, find deviations from y. Now what are they saying is, first calculate x minus a, x minus assumed mean, give this as a name called dx. Okay, when you add all the values of dx, that will be called as sigma dx. Second step, calculate y minus assumed mean, and for this give this a name called dy. And once you add all the values of dy, you get sigma dy. Next, square these deviations. Now after finding out dx dy, next find out dx square. Okay, once you add all the dx square, it will be called as sigma dx square. Again, calculate dy square. Once you square all these values and add them up, you get sigma dy square. Okay, after this, now you have found dx, you have dy. Multiply these two, dx into dy. So you will be multiplying dx into dy. And when you add all of this dx into dy, you will be getting summation of dx dy. Now once you find all these values, you have to use the formula which we saw in the previous slide, and you will have to simplify the numbers. So which in turn, let us just write down the list of what all we are supposed to find out. First you have to find out dx, then you have to find out dy, then you're supposed to, okay, we'll start with sigma only. Okay, sigma dx, sigma dy, then you will find out sigma dx square, then you will find out sigma dy square, then you will find out sigma dx dy. You have to find out these 5 major things and then apply the formula. N will be given in the question as it is. Okay, so everybody understood until here? Any doubts in the concept? Okay, so we will solve the problem tomorrow. We'll stop here for today. Tomorrow I will continue with the problems. We'll start with the problems directly and finish it. Okay.